What's up, guys? It is Ben with Ben's Election Predictions. And today I want to focus explicitly on the question that is on everyone's mind right now. And that is Joe Biden going to drop out of the presidential race and hand it over to another Democrat after that disastrous debate performance that we just recently watched? And it is very interesting because right after the debate, I was doing a live stream. I was watching the debate. I wasn't biased by any of kind of the post spin by either campaign. And I was struck by the calls from Republicans and Democrats, mainly from Democrats, to maybe reconsider having Biden as the nominee. And clearly, but that wasn't Biden's best debate performance, but it got to a level where people within the Democratic Party who obviously want Democrats to win are considering taking Joe Biden off the ticket. So what is that going to look like? Is that realistic? What impact is that going to have on the race writ large? These are the questions that I want to answer. But first, I just want to kind of touch on the reaction that we've been seeing last night and this morning. I mean, this is insane because in 2020, almost none of the New York Times commentators said that Trump won the debate at all, and we see everyone from a more liberal news site, people saying Trump won. Obviously, Trump won as the more commanding presence, Trump decisively. And, these are people from across the political spectrum. And it really is just striking to see, even, Biden was able to get across some of his points. And, people mention that, Trump didn't necessarily have his best debate, but it can't be understated as to the impact that this debate is having on people's perceptions. And if we look at the CNN snap poll that was done after the debate, and this was done in 2020 as well, and Biden won both um, the debates according to CNN pretty handily. But we see Trump got 67% um, of the people that said, "Who do you think will do a better job as president?" And Biden only got 33%. And you can see how that compares to the pre-debate. So, Trump's um, poll numbers improved by 12%, and Biden's went down 12%. So, what does this mean, and what can the Democrats do about it? So, right now, I think it is very split. I think the people that are closest to Biden, like his vice president Kamala Harris, Gavin Newsom, the most high-ranking Democrats that might have the most power publicly, are still sticking with Biden. Joe Biden is one of those people. Either there hasn't been someone in Biden's very very close inner circle that has said that they think that Biden should drop out. And there's a lot of people that have stayed silent on the matter, maybe some cabinet officials, maybe people like Barack Obama, Bill Clinton, people that hold influence over the party. But there've been a lot of people in the media, and through the media operatives, there have apparently been a lot of high-ranking Democrat officials who've remained anonymous, but still there hasn't been any like very high ranking Democrat in office, or like a former high ranking politician like Barack Obama to come out. And I think until that happens, or until there's, another big moment where, potentially it shows Biden's weakness, I think that Biden is still more likely than not to be the Democrat nominee. And if we look at the odds, so right before the debate, Biden had around about an 88% chance, or like people were buying 88 cents on the dollar that he would be the nominee. Which makes sense. It's not a competitive primary. Biden's got an 80+% vote in every state. But we see that right now, it dropped to even as low as 55 cents on the dollar. And one thing that I think is of note is that Kamala Harris, his vice president, isn't the number two pick. people speculate that, Gavin Newsom might be more electable than Kamala Harris, just kind of based on Kamala Harris's popularity ranking and whatnot. And then if we also go to Polymarket, which is another one of the betting sites, we see that they're even a little bit more bullish on Trump and bearish on Biden. So this is just the presidential election winner writ large, and you can see that it was a little bit closer before. Biden was kind of in the high 30s and he's down to 21%. And I think this is a little bit of an overreaction. And I think the same thing on Predict It. Would I buy at 65%? I'd probably buy up to 75%. I actually did buy some shares at 55 cents and have sold them because things are very unclear. But let me move on and kind of focus in on, what would it look like if they actually replace Biden on the ticket, because you know we saw on the New York Times, there's 6 articles from prominent liberals, people who want to see the Democrats win, saying that Biden needs to be off the ticket. And these journalists, many of them I had never even heard of. How much power do they actually hold? I don't think that much. But the New York Times is one of the most respected and widely read newspapers. So um, there is influence there, and that there've been these questions swirling around on whether they should replace Biden. And there've been different moments, whether it's like after some viral clips or like when Robert Hur had his testimony and said that he's not going to convict Biden because he's just like an elderly old man. And that got a lot of press attention. But the recordings from those proceedings are not going to be released. And Robert Hur was a um, prosecutor that was appointed by a Republican, and so people were speculating that he might not be completely unbiased. And there was also this Wall Street Journal article that came out where they interviewed a lot of people, Democrats and Republicans, and the headline was basically like, behind closed doors, Biden has been slipping more than he e- ever has. And they tried to list some examples, but reading it in a newspaper and citing some anonymous sources, that isn't going to have the same power as this debate had. And I think you cannot understate the power that this debate had. Just seeing it, it was less about the policy, it was less about the substance, and it was all about the presentation. And Biden clearly failed. But looking at the what the Democrats would have to do. So one thing that people were talking about is this is before the convention. So it is possible, if Biden wants to step down and he wants to nominate someone else, the delegates at the convention are not bound to vote for Biden to be the nominee. If Biden says, "Hey, I want to bow out and I want to choose my successor," whether it's Kamala Harris or Gavin Newsom, he has the power to do it. So, bottom line, headline is, if Biden wants to run for president again, he can. But if he wants to bow out now, it's not too late. People have not started voting. In 2020, the early voting, the mail-in votes, that was happening sooner than it ever has. But in 2024, the primary is still not over technically, even though we have 2 presumptive nominees on either side. So it isn't too late, which I think is why you're kind of seeing this groundswell of some Democrats, mainly in the media, actually floating this as a realistic possibility, where in the past it was, really only kind of more fringe people saying that, we might need to replace Biden. But like, to their credit, it was people like Bill Maher, Ezra Klein, I mean, Dean Phillips, who obviously ran but wasn't successful. So, um, and yeah, so like this article kind of says exactly what I was saying. For apoplectic Democrats, the good news is they're there is a way to do it before November, and, there's a lot of rules about, like, in the convention process, they're pledged, but they're not committed to backing Biden. But like this is a very long-winded um way to way of saying that, this has never been done. It'd be totally unprecedented, but it would be possible. And I think, the biggest question is who would replace Joe Biden on the ticket. So I think what would probably need to happen is like, first of all, you need Joe Biden's agreement. And if Joe Biden agrees to step down, everyone in his party is going to go along with that because he's the president, and no one wants to force Joe Biden if he doesn't want it. But clearly, the reporting's come out, even this morning that Biden's going to stay in the race. He thinks this is, the overblown narrative. But I think what would be kind of the best case scenario for the Democrats is to have, Biden kind of handpick who his successor is going to be, whether that be Kamala Harris, which I think is probably the most realistic option, even though, she is deeply unpopular. If Biden said, I'm choosing Kamala Harris, you would probably see other prominent Democrats also back her going along with Biden. And that's probably what would happen if Biden chooses someone different, whether it's Gavin Newsom or Gretchen Whitmer. I could see the party apparatus also trying to back this person, but I think what the worst case scenario for the Democrats would be kind of, uh, kicking off an open and unpredictable process where it's like multiple people are trying to buy at the convention. Um, I don't think that's as realistic because typically we've seen the Democrats be pretty unified, whether it's electing a speaker of the House, or before today, all of the high-ranking Democrats are behind Biden despite his age, and so um yeah, and I don't want to harp on this too much, but I think the main point is that this is going to end up coming to what Joe Biden wants to do. And is it a possibility that there's, a hostile takeover of the Democratic Party where high-ranking public officials tried to oust Biden? That would be a very high drama event, and it definitely could happen. But it's such a high risk for the high-ranking Democrats to take. Like, I think it would take Gavin Newsom, Gretchen Whitmer, maybe Biden's own vice president or Barack Obama. I don't think any of those people have the bravery or like it. And frankly, I don't think it's necessarily a smart decision because I think Biden holds all the power here. And if is it possible for Biden to unwillingly kind of be ousted from the presidency before the actual election takes place? Sure, it's possible, but I don't think it's likely. How these nominating processes are set up, and just kind of the fragmented nature of things, and just how the party apparatus is set up. It's really hard to get rid of someone in this process. And we saw this in 2016. There was a lot of Republicans after the Hollywood Access tapes came out that wanted Trump off the ballot, or said we cannot possibly vote for Trump, and his election odds got to like 7%. And that was history. We know that Trump was able to come back from that. And you know, even if Democrats have said that they want Biden to be replaced, or that they want a different option, all those people have been willing to say that, at the end of the day, if it's between Trump and Biden, then they're still going to vote for Biden. And his election odds have not, dropped below 20%. So this indicates to me, and this is what that the article says too that Joe Biden, as of today, June 28th, plans to stay in the race. And I think what's interesting is there's been some reporting, and it hasn't necessarily did been verified that Jill Biden is really pushing Joe to stay in the race. And you saw these kind of viral moments afterwards where Joe Biden or Jill Biden was just kind of gushing over Biden's debate performance, which many people kind of saw as a little bit ridiculous because objectively it probably wasn't. But um, I personally don't think that Joe Biden's going to drop out. It's obviously very much up to him, and not a lot of people can kind of see into his mind. Is it too late? Absolutely not. But if it's going to happen, it's going to need to happen in the first week or in the next 2 weeks or so. And there might be a big plan in the background, but there isn't a lot of time. The DNC is in August, and after that you cannot switch anything. So we still have about a month, but if we don't hear anything in the next 2 weeks, the next debate is not until after the convention. If no action happens in the next week or so, I think Biden's going to stay the nominee. But um, really curious to kind of hear what y'all think here in terms of the betting odds. Would you buy Biden right now? I think I probably would buy him up to around 70 or 75 cents, but right now I'm staying out of this market. I would say if Biden is going to be replaced, I think it's very likely to be Kamala Harris. I just don't see them snubbing her. I think the hype over Gavin Newsom or even Hillary Clinton or Gretchen Whitmer or some of these other people is very much overblown. But let me know what y'all think in the comments. And thank y'all for watching this video. And please like, subscribe, and stay tuned for future videos on this channel. Thank you guys.